One, two.
Hey! Welcome to the Video and Vinyl Club.
Welcome to the Video and Vinyl Club.
We are so excited to have on the show today with us Olga Turka.
Yeah!
So honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to jump in to talk about who Olga Turka is. If you don't know who she is, I highly suggest you start to know who she is because she is a super talent and she has worked on many amazing projects, two of which we're going to specifically talk about today, which is Terrifier 2 and 3.
We are so excited to have you here because today is really our special Halloween themed episode.
Halloween, happy Halloween.
So,
And being that Terrifier movies have the Art the Clown, we're dressed, people can't, this is a podcast, so you can't really see, but we do have this up on YouTube. You know, I'm wearing my little black and white checkered shirt. Emmy's got a beautiful pink bow on.
a lot of blush.
Olga, you look really beautiful, very gorgeous top. Can you tell us about?
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
show
like
us.
I'll try to shift up so you can see a little more.
Wow.
This is by a designer, I believe in Ohio, named Casey Immel Brown.
Yeah, and it's made out of leather.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So for people who are just listening to the audio, she's got this like really gorgeous red, dark red, like leather top on. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
gorgeous.
like I don't know, futuristic, like fembot, but like very,
Yes.
celebrating the armor of the female body.
You look beautiful.
So Olga is a sartorial storyteller, a believer in magic, wardrobe stylist, costume and production designer, and imagination pimp. She's worked on films and with, I believe, celebrity styling as well. So she's done all kinds of stuff. So Olga, how did you like start on this journey? What was your path? Let's jump in.
I took the very, very scenic route. Growing up, I was always sort of like a bookworm and was all about my studies. But I was always obsessed with magazine editorials and things like that. So I would collect magazines, fashion magazines. Back then, the editorials were amazing. So I would cut out and collage these things. But I think in retrospect, I just realized that I was mood boarding.
Yeah.
Without realizing it. Yeah.
Totally. And so where did you grow up? Like, where are you from?
The Jersey Shore.
Woohoo, girl, yeah.
Nice.
Power to Jersey.
Yeah, so I am the daughter of immigrants. I'm the first one born here on both sides of my family.
Wow.
Born in New Jersey, yes, and
Nice.
raised on the Jersey Shore in Toms River.
Oh, I have actually spent a significant amount of time in Toms River.
We probably crossed paths.
Yes, I recorded an album out there in 2007. It's lovely.
Yeah, I loved growing up there. Being by the beach is like really cool. It's also still a place I find really restorative to go back to.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And where did your parents immigrate from?
Turkey.
Turkey!
Yeah.
Oh, amazing! I love Turkey. I love Turkish food, I should say. I've never been to Turkey, but I love Turkish food.
You're welcome anytime. My mom is like the most amazing cook. So,
Cool.
She still grows like grape leaves in our backyard. And things like that. So,
Nice.
Oh, nice.
yeah, like, as a daughter of immigrants, education is pushed first and foremost. They probably didn't understand all the artistic kind of weird macabre things I was into, like Tim Burton movies. And yeah, like I think I had like skulls on my Vans before, like it was cool. Like people thought it was weird.
I love it.
Kind of everywhere. But yeah, so like growing up, total nerd. Cutting up magazines, making these collages. And then I had a scholarship to Rutgers. I studied economics and French.
Wow.
So, still a book nerd, but like a lot of friends are asking me for help with their outfits and with Halloween. I was very big into Halloween and always like DIYing it. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I, just figured out like cheap ways to kind of make fun things. After Rutgers, I went to FIT for a year and a half kind of intensive program that focused on wardrobe styling and wardrobe technician. Wow. And there were a lot of classes that I took, but the one I learned the most and kind of probably segued into all this is there was one about script analysis. And what they would do is give us a script, and we would have to come up with what the characters look like what they would wear, what their idiosyncrasies were. Would they wear a watch? Would they tie their shoes this way? And it was just so fascinating to me.
Oh, that's awesome. And those are all those details that really make a difference and bring that character to life.
Yes. Yeah. And along with that, we also had to come up with the room look like and like all these things too. So I just found it so fascinating. Editorials were a way of storytelling, but I was also interested now in film's way of storytelling through wardrobe and through sets. And so after I left there, the stock market crashed in 2008. And I started a lot of free work. So I would wait tables and things like that, but I would find like test shoots, as they call them, where a photographer is looking for a crew that just wants to create for the sake of portfolio work. And actually still to this day, I still get together with my friends to create if I need an outlet. But that's how I started, which segued into music videos and commercial work.
Cool.
Wow.
And so as far as films, now you and I have worked together because you worked on my film, Daddy Issues, which I wrote and directed, and you did an amazing job. Daddy Issues is a short film, and it's got a ghost, and you did the whole ghost costume and like so much more stuff, but it was really like made the film. Had that not happened,
thank you.
Like there's no way that film would have really worked because the ghost is such a central character. And so being that, as a costume, with that background and the importance of costumes, let's just jump into talking about the Terrifier films because they have such a look. And Emmy and I, we watched all three.
I'm sorry.
No. You had given me some advice. You're like, don't get scared. Just concentrate on like, so I started thinking and watching it kind of like from an analytical point of view. Like, how did they make it look like that person's getting chopped in half that way? Like how, you know what I mean? Like using that part of my mind. But Emmy and I talked about this and we both agreed that Terrifier 2 and 3 have a much better look than Terrifier 1.
Yeah,
we're involved in 2 and 3. So good.
So Olga, it's really funny because we just started this podcast in September, but
congratulations.
Thank you. But October came up quite quickly and and we decided to do a horror themed month because it's Halloween. And the big joke is like I've never watched horror movies my whole entire life. Are you
ready for this? I'm terrified of them.
You are?
There's still so many I have not seen. Believe me, like normal ones that everyone has seen.
Yeah.
It's just it's so serendipitous that I landed here.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of you because it's not easy to if you're I'm like a sensitive, empathetic person. I don't like seeing people in pain. Creating it is like the most fun.
So Erin thinks it's hilarious because I literally watched Terrifier 1, 2, and 3 like in 2 days.
Yeah. I just got goosebumps.
You've got goosebumps. Yeah. And so it's been a great stretch in desensitization for me. And I think now nothing will feel scary.
I have to give you a lot of credit when we'll get into it more, but I guess when I first received the script for Terrifier 2, I had never heard of Terrifier. My mom and I watched the first one. We were screaming so loud at the window. And, you know, my mom was going to go visit the family in Turkey, and she was like, I'm not leaving. You can't be with these people by yourself.
That's so funny.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. And so what was it like? So you get the script, you read it, you see Terrifier 1, and were you like, cool, I'm gonna do this? Or were you like, I don't know. Like, what did that feel like? How did you decide to jump on board?
Honestly, it's like, so I guess a few things. Like, I I probably had a whole lifetime of, like, I was always into macabre and Tim Burton and stuff like that, but I was never into like gore and murder and like
Yeah.
things like that. I was just very like all, I have a photographic memory, so these things like just live in my head like rent free. So I just couldn't see these visuals and things like that.
For people who don't know, how would you describe the difference between macabre and gore?
So for me, macabre is more like goth, a dark aesthetic, like maybe like a little bit like Addams Family and things
Right.
like that. Maybe into like, you know, cemeteries and things like that. So I like taxidermy and weird like tchotchkes, but I'm not straight up into like hearing people screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now I love it. Like I love it so much. But it's just interesting. Like it's almost like that trite saying that everything you want is on the other side of your fear.
Right.
So like I'm glad I faced the fear, and now I create what I was afraid of, which is insane.
So you get the script for it, and you'd never been into gore, really. And
yeah,
so,
like this level of murder.
yeah.
Yeah, this level of murder. Yeah. Yeah. And these films are pretty much action from the beginning. I mean, Terrifier 1 is just like kill scene after kill scene, pretty much, right? Or like gore, 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 gore.
Yeah, they did a wonderful
Terrifier 2
job
at least
establishing, the character and everything.
Yeah, and 2 seems like it's got much more of a story compared 2 and 3 compared to 1. So you say yes, and then what happens? Did you talk to
Well,
Damien, the director, Damien Leone?
yes. So the interesting part, the second part I was going to get into was, so I get the script and I watched the first one, and my hesitation wasn't from the subject matter really. It was just the amount of money we had and the budget that would go to wardrobe and like what we were trying to accomplish. And I actually declined the job twice.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a great point that you bring up about budget. So we were looking up just background on that. And so for Terrifier 2, their overall budget for the whole film was $250,000, which is really tiny for a full feature length film. Did they tell you what your budget would potentially be right from the beginning for wardrobe?
For wardrobe, yes. And what was really beautiful about that 250,000, it was all crowdfunded from the fans.
Wow,
So that
that's
was also,
awesome.
yeah. So it was amazing because the first one kind of gained the following, and the second one, they started an Indiegogo campaign that had incentives, like you could be killed in the movie for $5,000 and stuff like that.
Cute.
And they raised 250,000 in 24 hours.
Wow.
Oh.
So ultimately was that the reason you said yes, or what was the reason that you decided?
I'm so blessed, and I just have to thank Damien a lot for calling me the third time, and we kind of just worked it out. But this was also like, it's 2019. It was supposed to shoot October, November, wrap in December, but a lot of variables happened along with COVID. So it took like 2 years actually to film this movie.
Wow. Okay. So this was shot during COVID then, Terrifier 2.
There was
or
like
like
a
right
significant
after?
break. Yeah, like there was a significant break, and we were filming the clown cafe scene when everything shut down. We were so joyous and like happy because that was like my favorite to film. Like everybody was just in really good spirits. We started hearing little rumblings about stuff, and then all of a sudden, yeah, the lockdown happened, and we were like, see each other in 2 weeks.
Whoa. So should we
Oh.
talk about the clown cafe scene since it just came up? And because that to me was the most right off the bat, I was like, that shows that there is a new person working on costume and
Aw.
set. Yeah, I could see it right away.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
That was that was such a creepy. It's just what you might think. The feigned innocence happening, you know?
Yeah.
And the sort of almost cartoony look of the children, like it was happening on a kid's show,
Yeah.
essentially.
So the character's having a dream, right? And it's a
Mhm.
kid's show, and then it goes all cuckoo, crazy, blood, blah.
And I loved their outfits. I loved the color blocking kind of stuff you did and the matching clips. All
Oh,
of
thank
that,
you.
it all stuck out to me right away, just as distinctly different from the first one. And I'm not trying to say, forget the first one, but your
No,
presence,
thank
your
you.
work
Oh, thank you.
shows. Yeah. So
No, that means a lot to me. And actually, I have to give Damien a lot of credit because a lot of these things he envisions prior, I'm just the one that executes them. So
yeah.
he even had like a drawing made of the Clown Cafe with the host, and I like literally created the host costume that he had in this drawing. So
Wow.
Cool.
and as a wardrobe stylist, I have done a lot of children's commercials. It was really, really fun to dress these adults as children in the same brands that I would for a children's commercial, but just a little bit quirkier, you know? It was so
Yeah.
much fun.
So the crew that you were working with on the second one, so the budget was tight. He calls you the third time. You say, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You come on set. What was it like just being on set? What was the support that you had to help you execute things? Were you able to work with a team? Were you really solo? What was happening?
So what was great about the second one is there was 9 of us on the core crew. We all wore multiple hats. So for a month before we started filming, it was always me, Damien, Phil, the executive producer, and Jackie, the hair and makeup girl, just prepping everything in Phil's basement. And Jackie,
Wow.
I have to give so much credit to because she was like my wing woman the entire film. Like she was always helping me do rooms and everything when she had spare time. Like even the Clown Cafe was something that we only had 4 days to flesh out. And Damien and I really didn't think we would be able to do it, but Phil really was determined. So he had friends come and help him like build things, and we're set dressing and all these things on top of the costuming for all those people. So it was
Wow.
like when we weren't filming, we were always prepping. So there wasn't any time off or anything, but our hearts were in it. You know what I mean? Like we really loved what we were doing, even though it killed us. It was like super grueling.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of people in that scene is pretty significant too. I mean, how many people, if you remember, and no pressure here, but how many people were in that scene that you had to dress? Like 9?
There was about I think at least 10 that were in that line by the food truck, and then there's the nun and the homeless man.
That's
and
right.
there
That's
was
right.
the children, and then there's the serial kid.
Right.
Yeah.
God, right.
So
right.
that was like, it was a difficult scene, but it was such a fun scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
And
took
it's
like 4 or 5 days to film, I think, something like that, because we also had to have like weapons experts there. There's a lot going on.
wow. And so was this all built out on a set? Did you guys have like a sound stage that you were building this out on, or where did you have a location? What was that part of it?
So Phil, the executive producer, owns a property in upstate New York, and there's a barn that we had the sets in. So the sets that were in there were the Clown Cafe, Sienna's bedroom, and Allie's bedroom. And the reason that Sienna's and Allie's were built in sets is because Damien wanted a sliding wall to allow for more camera angles. So yeah, we had those 2 bedrooms and the clown cafe in this barn in upstate New York, and the closest store was 40 minutes away. So
Oh my goodness.
if we needed
Wow.
paint, it was an hour and 20 round trip. We would just have a big list, and someone would be running to Home Depot and Walmart and like whatever
Wow.
else was up there. One great thing though of filming upstate New York is you could scream as loud as you want and no one cares.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We were
So
like a dysfunctional family for a while.
yeah, I can imagine. And you're shooting like 12-hour days back to back, right?
Yeah, like nonstop.
How
And
many
like
days in a row would you shoot?
well, we would do stints. So like say like there was 10, 12 days in a row, but
Yep.
then you would take a break for a week and be prepping for the next thing.
Yep.
But I think all in all, because there were so many pickups after we were done with principal photography, I think it was like 70 days. Like it was a lot. And he, like as much as I was doing, he's the director and he's also doing all the special effects that you see in the movie. So he's incredibly, incredibly talented. Him and Phil were doing most of the effects. Like we would all help, of course, but his artistry is like no other.
So
Wow.
I personally want to know about Damien
Uh,
because you've said he's talented and that he has all these ideas. Is he a gentle human being?
So it's just funny because I think like after reading that script, I like proceeded with caution.
Yeah.
But we have become like creative besties and just besties in general. He is
Yeah.
like the nicest human being. He my Jackie, the hair and makeup girl, puts it perfectly. Like she's like, we will film the most absolutely heinous like kill scene, and then he'll just give you like the best hug of your life like after. So
that's
he's
cute.
just like a diehard true, like since he was 4 years old, horror fan.
Yeah.
And he makes the movies that he wants to see. So
Yeah.
and we help him create his insanity. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine when you are a big fan of something like that, like if you say he's been a fan since 4, you build this sort of library of scenes in your mind, and the more you know something, the more you know what hasn't been done, and the more you see the opportunities for things that could be done. And so I think that people always ask like, what kind of person makes movies like this? And really, it's like probably an expert on something, and we become experts on things because I don't know, maybe our older brother or older sister loves a specific thing and we're there for the ride, or you become an expert on something just because you by chance got, shown that to you, and you just build a taste for it. For whatever reason, you become an expert on something and then you start wanting to make something that you haven't seen and so forth. And it's not always just because you're someone who's sitting around thinking about people being
Getting their
getting
bodies cut
murdered.
up.
Yeah, it's just because you want to make something, you know how to do it, and you see an opportunity and you want to make that happen.
He's always he's always been he and I align a lot because a lot of our film career we're self-taught. Like
Mhm.
one of the other things that arose during too was I was signed on as a costume designer, but something didn't work out with the set designer. And we're toiling away in Phil's basement, and he turns to me and he says, will you be the production designer as well? And I went to the bathroom and I Googled, what does a production designer do? So then I come out and I'm like, I could do that. I could do that.
Yeah, totally.
Honestly, it's like something I didn't even really think about, even though I've always been interested in that. But I have to give him credit because it's like the thing I'm hired for the most now. So
Wow.
it's just been this whole serendipitous, weird, like wild ride. And him growing up, he would watch like Tom Savini YouTube channel, like all the videos of how to do special effects. He's self-taught and all that stuff.
You're talking about special effects, just so everybody understands. You're talking about like having the blood spurt out of somebody's neck kind of special effects, or you're talking about
he molds and sculpts like all those body parts, those the person's head, everything, the dead bodies,
Wow. So he
everything.
not only directed it, he's making all of that stuff.
Yes, yes. Like so what was the most inspiring is to have the director literally working just as hard, if not harder than you. It's like driving the whole team, like, so
Yeah.
of course we want to work as hard as him. So just seeing his drive and his work ethic. And one of the other great things about him as a director is that, especially on one, like he's done all the departments before on his own. Like he's had short films before Terrifier one. So he
Yeah.
understands everybody's like trials and tribulations a bit. He knows like when he's asking for like something that's like impossible, but you try to make it possible.
Yeah.
So yeah. he's very, very talented, like
Wow,
innate.
that's got to be so fun.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's jump now to Terrifier 3.
Okay.
Really quickly,
Oh,
I just
yes.
want
Yeah,
to
please,
say
please.
I've had chills like 5 times in this conversation so far. Just because it's like I was worried about hearing about behind the scenes things because I thought we were going to be talking about like a lot of gross stuff. But really, it's like so beautiful to hear you talk about how inspiring it was to work next to the director and
Mhm.
just like how you made it happen and all these sort of serendipitous things.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very inspiring.
So I'm
Very
ha
inspiring.
yeah, very inspiring, and I
It
just
gave me
keep getting
goosebumps.
chills. Yeah, I keep getting goosebumps. It's so nice. Okay, anyways,
Yeah.
Terrifier 3. Let's get into it, Erin.
So Terrifier 3. So you do Terrifier 2. You've got a budget of $250,000, which for people who don't work in film or don't understand, that is very, very, very tight. So you're saying you have 9 crew members and you worked on that film 70 days. People are not, this is not a movie you're making bank, right? Like the crew,
No,
you're,
no.
you're
Like
like
we're doing it
complete,
because we love it.
you
Like,
love it. This is like very passion project. So that film then goes into theaters and it grosses $15 million. So for
What?
people to understand, if you're an investor and you're looking for films to invest in, and you hear about a film where they use $250,000 to make the product that then grossed $15 million, I would think, I want to get in on this. Like, I want to invest with these people. They know what they're doing about like keeping the budget tight and making it really work. So then we get to Terrifier 3. So Damien's like, hey, Olga, what's up? Let's go, Terrifier 3. Don't worry, Olga, I've got more money. And it's like,
yeah,
you're like,
so
wow, great. And he's like, it's $2 million. And you're
yes.
like, okay, now $2 million also like that's a good budget, but that's also with films like comparatively. And right now, Terrifier 3 is up against a film that has a huge budget starring Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, which is The Joker, Folie à Deux, right? And that film is plummeting in the box office and is not doing very well. And their budget was freaking insane. I think their budget overall was maybe, I mean, we were talking about the other day, was it like $60 million or something?
Yeah, it's
So
huge.
that
Wow.
film has a budget of $60 million. You're in Terrifier 3 coming up with your budget $2 million to make Terrifier 2. Your gross then currently $49 million, with it being the #1 film right now in the United States, in France, and all these other countries, right? So
So crazy.
which is amazing. And I think it's such a huge testament to what you're talking about with like the team really doing this because you love it and putting your A work in there. You've got this director who's really going for it and is inspiring everybody to like jump in. But so let's back up for a second. Let's talk about you're now, Damien calls you, you're in, you're showing up. It's Terrifier 3. Okay, so tell us how this process was different. Did
Okay,
you feel
so
more
in
supported?
some ways the beginning is the same because I'm reading the script. I'm in my studio and I'm like, holy moly. Because I in the interim and just like in my career, I've worked all kinds of things. I've worked these big movie commercials that are $1 million commercials, even like, so I know that even at 2 million, it's not that much.
It's not that much. Yeah, it's really
No.
not. Yeah.
And we're introducing now instead. So he's going to focus on the directing on Terrifier 3. He's not going to do the special effects makeup.
Okay. So that's nice, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it is because he can focus more. So
Yes.
what is so beautiful for him, and like I've cried a bunch for him, is that all of his heroes, all of his special effects heroes now are a part of Terrifier 3. So he has
Aw.
Christian Tinsley and his team were the heads of the special effects makeup. Christian Tinsley is a brilliant, brilliant special effects artist and designer. He did Passion of the Christ and things like that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
to have him and his team, Ryan and Heather, day in and day out doing these things was just amazing. John Caglione, who did Dick Tracy, did the.
We covered
We
Dick
talked about Dick
Tracy on the
Tracy.
pod.
Yeah.
I like nearly cried when I met him because not only is he just the kindest human being, but I was like, you don't understand. My VHS of Dick Tracy has like so much wear to it because that
Me
movie
too.
blew my mind and still does.
Wow.
That was like our first episode because that is
Yeah.
one of the most distinct movies for me of my like whole life.
So stylistic.
So
Yeah.
stylistic. The aesthetics are just dreamy, like still to this day.
Yeah.
And so yeah, John Caglione did the Demon and Virgin Mary sequence, which was amazing. The makeup process behind that. Tom Savini, the one who did the videos that Damien followed as a kid, he has a cameo as like one of the witnesses at the mall explosion. So it's just like really beautiful that all of this is
Cool.
the result of all his hard work. So we have teams for special effects. Now the camera department is bigger also, and they're getting like these fancier cameras from Panavision. So there's that. So remember the budget's 2 million. So like
2 million. And I just double checked actually what I said about the Joker budget. Their budget was 200 million. So the Joker fell away due 200 million to make that movie that's now failing big time, which anyway, but go ahead. Keep talking about your $2 million budget.
I haven't seen it. I don't know if you have yet.
No, not yet.
I know that the budget's still limited, even though that we have more money, more people involved. Now there's a studio involved. So there's like a Cineverse. And so there's like these time frames now that we weren't used to on the second one. Remember, so like the second one was supposed to be 3 months, but with all these trials and tribulations, it was like 2 years. And I think Damien edited it himself for like almost a year, if not a year.
Oh, yeah.
So this one we were restricted to a certain time frame, which was, especially for the art department, extremely fast. Like, because we have to build and create and tear down and reset, and like, especially if we're at homes, you know, it was just as difficult, if not more difficult, because of that. And I think there was some hesitation for me to do both departments, but this time I had teams.
Okay. Yeah. And how big were those teams? Did you have like 2 people on each team? More?
So on the costumes, I had 2 people. I had an assistant, Jolene, and Nicolas Mendoza, who is the one that fabricated the costumes that we designed for Art the Clown, like the Santa and the black and whites. Because with you don't shoot in sequence, so you have to make sure you have enough. So there's probably 10 or 12 black and white costumes. There's probably 6 to 8 Santa costumes for each Santa. And he did an incredible job with his artistry too.
Yeah. And so for people who haven't seen the Terrifier 3 trailer or anything, it's a holiday film. Art the Clown is now there for Christmas.
Yeah.
The art department, I had about 6 core members, but then we probably had another 10 like art PAs that came in and out of the filming, which was about 4 months.
Wow.
Yes. So I was totally surprised when it opened up on a Christmas scene, on a holiday scene.
Yeah, we hadn't anticipated that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
thought,
wonder if that's good or bad that you didn't know.
no.
Well, I was kind of like, this is smart because that film can stay in the theater for longer. I mean, it came out in
Yeah.
October, right? Did it open in October or September?
Yeah. So like originally when we were like in pre-production, I was like very surprised that they already announced the date that it was going to be released before we even started filming.
Yeah.
So the
Oh,
pressure is on, and
Yeah.
I was surprised it wasn't during December, but I get it now. Like, it has to like, it goes to the other countries and all this stuff. So it gives it time to like, permeate society.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, totally. And with this tighter timeline that you had for Terrifier 3, I'm imagining like for Terrifier 2, still with the small crew and stuff, you had more of an opportunity to be like, oh, I have an idea. Let's try this, maybe. Somebody can bring forward a new idea that's happening on set. With the tighter timeline for Terrifier 3, was that an opportunity that was unavailable because you're really trying to stay consistent with the time frames and moving? I'm just
So,
really curious, like about creatively.
there was a huge difference because I think any director would love to do endless takes just to make sure you get it perfect. And I think
Oh
on
yeah,
two, we
baby.
had like 20 takes per, like a lot of takes. This one had to have been 2, 3 takes. Let's move to the next like angle because it's like you don't have the time.
You don't have the time. Yeah. Wow, interesting. Okay.
And
So,
yeah, like I think Damien and I kind of hashed things out before about the aesthetics of the film.
mhm.
He is big on like Black Christmas. He and I both love Eyes Wide Shut as a Christmas movie. So there's certain aesthetics that we just wanted to apply to this. For me, Christmas was such a canvas because it's also like extremely perverse to
Yeah.
have this kind of joy in the background and this insane like murder. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I am a big fan of juxtaposition and things like that. So this was a lot of fun for me.
Aaron and I
Yeah.
have talked a lot during this horror movie themed month about taking sort of like a fear. It's sort of like lots of horror movies are based in a small fear, small what if question or intrusive thought and taking it all the way as far as you can. So it's like, what if Santa is actually really just like a really bad guy? Or like, what if one of these Santas is really like a murderer behind the scenes and like just pushing that as far as you can go. And so when I think when we saw that it was a holiday film, we were like, oh man, like talk about like
Yeah.
the most perverse thought, like the darkest thought you could have about Christmas. Here it
Yeah.
is. Here it is.
Yeah. I
Yes,
mean, I have to say, so Gremlins is my favorite holiday film
I love
and
Gremlins.
love Gremlins. Love it.
We also,
And
me, cinematographer, and Damien also watched Gremlins as a reference.
Wow.
okay, amazing. And one of the scenes from this film that I feel like Terrifier 3 that will always stay in my mind is Art the Clown decorating the tree with like human body parts. He's like taking the guts and using that as garland, and there's like a head on top. This isn't really a spoiler for people. I mean, if you kind of understand the genre, you're gonna see something like that. But
Yeah.
that was so funny and kind of campy, and there's so many moments like that in the film of almost this awareness that like this is over the top, and you kind of have to laugh because you're like, this is insane. I mean, what you're seeing is it's so crazy, the level of violence, but it's in that genre of being camp. Like one of my other favorite movies is Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I
I
don't know
love
if you've ever seen that
that.
movie. Okay. And
I've
it's
never
like
seen it.
so amazing because it's so like stupid funny in a way. And like the people are freaking out and screaming, and a tomato like rolls out of the sink and it's like, "Ah!" And you're seeing the people getting splashed with like tomato sauce or whatever.
That's amazing.
And it's so camp. And it's like that's kind of definitely an aspect to these films that I really actually kind of enjoyed. I mean, there definitely were moments where Emmy and I both were like, eyes
Oh, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
closed, like I cannot watch this because some of the body horror stuff was like, oh, so I can understand those reviews or like the stuff people are saying that in France people walked out of the theater, a bunch of people threw up, right? Like stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I feel bad for people that don't really know what it is, like, because if you're not into that, I totally get it. Like,
Yeah.
especially, or there, if you're not seeing it like you're seeing it, it's campy, it's over the top. Like I find it hilarious. And like when I read the script, it's kind of like cold and dark. David, the clown, like puts such a campiness to the character. I can't even stop laughing like when I'm on set.
Yeah.
So
oh my God.
as someone who is obsessed with camp, like I love John Waters and things that. And also there's also like this like you're talking about like a societal dialogue and all these things. I just love, I love all of it.
What do you think the societal dialogue is in this movie?
I mean, what could be in like a Christmas movie, like besides like commercialism and like,
oh yeah,
just like, and just like blind to it. Like, you have a kid that it just runs up to Santa, even though he has a dead guy's beard on his face.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That part was like, I think there was a lot of moments like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of and a lot of oh man.
Oh yeah. And there's also like that whole like even the cosplayer on the train, like, and if you go back to the first Terrifier in the pizza shop, just this like sort of selfie culture and like people aren't really aware of their surroundings or just naive, like there's just a lot to be said about our society at the moment.
Oh,
absolutely.
Definitely.
I have a question.
Sure.
What do you think it is about clowns and specifically Art the Clown? Like what is the absolute, besides the fact that he does terrible scary things, why is a clown doing terrible scary things even worse? Like what would you say, like why people want to follow Art the Clown? Because before we talked about this, Erin said that Art the Clown appeared in other films besides the Terrifiers.
There's
right?
like short films that Damien had done. Yeah.
Okay.
So Damien's been at this for like 15 years. Like it's not like overnight whatsoever, but he has like true grit and perseverance, and I really commend that. About Art the Clown, what I think is so unique about him, and I think what makes him even more terrifying, is that he can switch from this sort of Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, like so amusing character, and you're like, "Aw," and then he just turns straight like maniacal, like like when he's holding the gun in the bar scene, it just switches like a light. Yeah. And I remember seeing that on set and I was like, wow, like that's so scary.
That was definitely one of the things Emmy and I actually both talked about. We were like, he's killing this person, using whatever, hammer, knife, whatever. And then at one point it's just like, screw it. And just takes out the gun. He's like, boom, boom, boom. You're like
we're like, cheap move, bro. Low.
It's like, it's so crazy because like he also has like this trash bag that's sort of like the Mary Poppins purse. Like there's like, where did he get these things? How is he carrying it around? Like what brand of trash bags does he use? Because all my
exactly. That's true. They're very durable.
Yeah.
Especially for having like a chainsaw, like these random weapons just weighing him down everywhere.
Yeah,
totally.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, Olga, it's been so fun talking to you about all this stuff. And so we came up with a game. Okay, this is buy, sell, trade. So this game's just for Olga.
Ooh,
Olga. Buy, sell, trade. So it's Video and Vinyl Club. And, like record stores, you do buy, sell, trade. You can bring stuff in and sell it or trade it or buy stuff. So of the 3 Terrifier films, which one are you going to buy? Which one are you going to sell? And which one would you trade?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I would buy Terrifier 2 just because of the heartfelt hard work behind all of it, and I just knowing where we came from to where it is now is just such a crazy process over the last 5 years. So yes, I would buy Terrifier 2. I would sell Terrifier 3 because we're still selling it right
now. Smart.
And I would trade Terrifier 1 only because I didn't work on it, but I do love it. And, you know, we traded in for a newer model.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
nice,
good. Nice.
nice. So just as like maybe a spoiler for the fans of the film in a way, but I heard Terrifier 4 is in the future.
So this is what happened. Damien is in a lot of interviews, especially at conventions that he goes to like weekly. And you know, someone asked, "Is there Terrifier 4?" And he said yes. And then all these articles ran with it, like that one sentence answer. But of course, yes, he definitely always plans to do a fourth one. So it's definitely gonna happen. And yeah, hopefully I'm a part of it. I don't assume anything though, because you know, the trajectory is pretty crazy. So it was very surreal to see where we came from in Terrifier 2 to even see it doing well in the theaters at that time. And then on this one, it was shocking that first weekend as well. So I was talking to Ryan from the FX team, and he's like, "Can you believe it?" I was like, "Honestly, Ryan, I can, because, you know, we died 17 times inside while we were making this because of all the stress and the trials and tribulations. And then I think our lost souls uplifted it."
Yeah.
So I think the same thing happened on 2, and now it's on this one. And that's why, like, I did post very carefully that I don't think when we see these rankings and things like that, it's not a competition, because to us, it's like, you know, we love all film, and we know every film has the most hardworking crew, no matter if it's like a bajillion-dollar budget or a small budget.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But I think it's just like such a true testament to indie filmmaking, and you know, just really, really hardworking, and people that like their whole heart is in what they're doing. Like it's like everyone on the set really, really cares about it being the best it can be, and it's never perfect. You know, like we could tweak things to death, but what we were able to accomplish in 2 and 3 with what we had was pretty incredible. And I'm just very, very proud of everyone, and Damien especially. So
I did want to ask you, are you working on any
sorry.
other projects right now? Sorry.
So yeah, I am on a film right now. We did one part of it. I can't say too much about it because of NDA and things like that. But what's interesting is that I'm leaving for Brazil on November 1st for a month to finish the film. So
Wow.
yeah.
Ooh,
So it's very
la.
exciting. It is hard, and that's all I can say about
Ooh.
it.
Okay, cool. Well,
we'll
have a great time in Brazil.
Yeah, and
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be my first time there, and I'm so excited.
we'll be looking out for whatever the next piece of work is that you
Yes,
are
thank
talking
you.
about.
And we hope we can have you back to talk about your next project when you can talk about it.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. And I would love to see Daddy Issues. I haven't seen it because I
Oh,
wasn't able.
shoot, you haven't?
No.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
I was always working when you had the festivals and stuff, but I was
Oh.
always like there in spirit cheering on.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so I'll send you that. I'll send you the link, and actually I'm gonna post it so everybody can watch it, because
That's amazing. I would love to
done all
share
the festivals and stuff. And I finished the feature script, so maybe we'll be working again
Oh, I
together
would love
very
that.
soon.
I would love that. It was such a fun time. So congratulations on everything as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Couldn't have happened without you, Olga. Couldn't have happened.
Oh,
So
thank you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
It is an
Yeah.
amazing show on Daddy Issues.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Video and Vinyl Club today. And
Yes.
you're now always a member.
Thank you so much for joining us, everyone who's listening. We hope you enjoyed our special Halloween episode with Olga Turka. And we are really hoping you will have a safe but scary and spooky holiday.
Halloween. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in again. You can follow us where you listen to podcasts on iTunes, on Spotify, and we are also up on YouTube. So if you'd like to see what we look like, see the beautiful Olga Turka as well, please check out the episode on YouTube, and you can follow us on our socials to learn more at
Instagram and TikTok, Video and Vinyl Club. And Olga, tell us where our listeners can find you.
Instagram at Olga Turka. I'm going to catch up my timeline by the end of the year. It's been a crazy couple years, but I post stories every day. So follow my craziness.
Okay,
Wonderful.
awesome. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Bye.